to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I'm your host for this lovely evening, your one and only podcast for this week. I am joined by four great guys. First and foremost, Tally is here.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Tally. Cereal Box is here as well.
Hi.
Punch is here.
Good evening.
And last is Cheer Jaden.
What's up, everyone? I love you.
We have a lot to talk about tonight. Before we get into that, I want to quickly talk about why you're only getting one podcast this week and why next week you're only going to get one podcast. Well, we sat down and had a collective discussion about the future of the Trinity Force podcast, and we decided that we needed more time to deal with network stuff. We needed more time to play some games together. We just needed to take a break from the two podcasts a week from a little while. And it mainly came down to that we've been doing two podcasts a week for over 2 years at this point, probably 3 years almost. And we decided that we've covered pretty much every topic that you could ever discuss. And at this point, if we continue to do podcasts a week, we're going to start repeating ourselves heavily. And
if we haven't already for a small amount of time.
Right. And the way I actually explained this to the wife is that we can keep building onto the top, but if we start building onto the top and the bottom starts falling out as well, we're never growing. And the bottom's going to fall out because we're going to start repeating information to you guys all the time. So we just want to keep building on and keep you guys around as long as we can. So the way this is going to work from now on is we're going to do at least 4 podcasts a month. That makes one podcast a week. But on patch weeks, not including this week, we're going to be trying to do at least 2 podcasts during that week. And if there's more information to discuss, we will do a second podcast. Like, we could do 8 podcasts in a month, right? If we have a ton of topics to talk about, we could do 8 podcasts. But we're just reserving the right to do that additional podcast every week because we don't want to bombard you with shows that are just not as the quality we think they should be at. But with that said, we are going to supplement this content because we're in talks with Vantage Sports right now. If you heard that podcast last week, we're going to try to jump in there and do some 5v5s with them and get some coaching and stream that live. And if we're not doing that Vantage stuff, we're actually going to be streaming on Mondays or Wednesdays, depending what day the podcast doesn't come on. We're going to be streaming 5v5s because we want to show you guys what it's like to play as a team. We want to be a cohesive unit. We're going to start posting those games to YouTube so you guys can hear the conversation and how people talk and whatnot. We're going to try to produce some more live content on top of the podcast content. And who knows, maybe some of that could turn into podcast content at one point in time where you guys can kind of hear how a game plays out, maybe like 30-minute episodes. So we're going to try to bring the same amount of content to you, but just in different ways and different formats. And I think every one of you will appreciate that in the long run. I know it's something to get, after having 2 podcasts a week for a very long time, it's going to be hard to get used to, but I think it's for the best. And you guys will agree after you hear what we're going to what we bring to you in the future.
I feel like there's going to end up being a supercut of Chira just saying the blood man. And because I assume that there is somebody out there who's the opposite of me who actually enjoys hearing that constantly. So maybe somebody will listen to that episode and be really excited about that supercut because it's literally every champion select that we've ever been in. Doesn't matter if Vlad was even relevant.
No, that's not true. It is only when someone says, "Hey, Chira, you could play Vlad," and I'm like, "Bloodman? Like, where?" That being said, like, just don't fucking bring up Vlad and it won't happen.
Okay, now that we're doing that, I have 2 more quick announcements. One, we have a 5v5 tournament happening in July that you can go sign up for that. It is at Reddit, the /T-Force Network. You can go sign up for that. I'll make a bit.ly link for it. It'll be bit.ly /T-Force, I don't know, T-Force Tourney, TOURNEY 3. I'll make it T-Force Tourney 3. And I'll put the link in the description. I'm just trying to think of something that I haven't used.
Anyone listening live, don't do this right now.
Yeah,
it's not going to work.
Give it a week.
That tournament will take place on July 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You have to be in TeamSpeak at TS.Trinity Force Podcast. It's open to every single person from Challenger all the way to Bronze 5 or Wood 5. Anybody can join. Please join. You'll win RP if you win. We are basing the prizes on how many people are going to join the tournament, and this is open to you guys. Now, hopefully, we have a tentative date of the July 23rd, which would be the weekend after, where we are going to have a 5v5 tournament for podcasts, where we've invited Just Okay, Leaguecast, and Lola to play in a 5v5 tournament, and that's going to be a charity tournament. Each team is going to pick a charity. We're going to take donations as it goes on. The donations will not affect how the games are played. These are legit 5v5 games, best of threes. They'll be streamed that night. And after we get all those donations come in, the winner of the tournament will have all of that money that came in donated to the charity of their choice. And, of course, we're supporting the National MS Society in honor of DeClaude.
Just to clarify, they could still make a donation and say across the top, Pwn sucks dick, right?
Oh, yeah. You can say whatever.
Right.
Or you can be like,
Just making sure.
you can be like, damn, T-Force's comp looks like shit. They're going to lose.
I mean, if they can't make Pwn play stupid things, they can at the very least insult him.
Try to
and get
tilt
something
him.
out of it. Yeah.
Heckle the shit out of
He's
you.
got all chat off for a reason. It shouldn't be that hard to tilt him.
Okay, so that's a tentative date, the 23rd. When we have official announcement of that, it'll go out on Twitter, it'll go on Facebook, it'll go on our email, all the good stuff. We're going to send an email out about that as well, so if you're subscribed to our mailing list, you'll get an email about both tournaments here very shortly. Patreon, by the way, that just started up. Thank you so much for supporting us. We have, if you're like, hey, why don't I have the July ones? Those should be in your inbox by now. We have 2 of them. They're getting pushed out here. Yeah, the June ones. Like the June ones should already be.
You said July.
I meant like because you're listening to this in July. It should be July right now when you're listening to this podcast. And if you're wondering where your June podcast came from, those should be in your inbox by now. Because we have them, we just kind of got delayed. And we've actually caught up through August at this point. We have 4 guests lined up through August to take care of. So that shouldn't happen for at least 2 more months. I know we've had a couple rough, shaky months here and there. But like a Lannister, we always pay our debts. So
You could say that.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on. Patch 6.13 hit this week. Oh, by the way, thanks to Punch, hopefully, cross your fingers, we should be getting patch notes early again, meaning you'll get patch notes earlier than the end of the week.
Maybe,
cross your fingers.
Maybe.
Patch 6.13 hit this week. The big thing with... I look over all of patch 6.13, and besides some of the item changes, this is like a cleanup patch where they're fixing they're trying to fix all those champions that you've been banning for a really long time. Those
you get a nerf, and you get a nerf, and you get a nerf.
They're just basically going across the board. Every champion that you've been banning, besides some of those like crazy bronze or silver bans, like Darius or Master Yi,
Bronzodia,
right? Vladimir Swain, Lulu is getting a change. Tom Kench is getting changed. There's a really huge Zyra change in this patch. There's a whole bunch of little
some
things.
interesting buffs
Kindred.
too. Yeah.
Kindred, yes, thank you. Let's start at the top.
I support love. Thanks.
And we'll talk about Forbidden Idol and how that has some weird interactions going on in the future. So, Blitzcrank, first and foremost, it's pretty much a nerf. These are like negligible nerfs across the board, because what they did is they made it so Rocket Grab doesn't pull them on top of you anymore. It puts them in front of Blitzcrank. Power Fist doesn't last as long, but it no longer should stutter when you hit the button after you pull somebody in. And Static Field, his ultimate, has a 60-second cooldown at rank 1 rather than 30 seconds. And that goes down to 20 seconds.
It's a huge buff, though, for his partner, because it doesn't hit...
No
monsters. Damn it.
Yeah.
It's monsters.
No,
It's not
won't accidentally aggro dragon or a random camp and give away your damn position. No,
Right.
it'll still hit minions, I
No,
think.
still sucks. Still annoying.
All right, so this is overall supposed to be a nerf, and I can see why, if you pop your Power Fist too early, you can't use it, and obviously not having R up every 25 seconds, 30 seconds is not as, annoying to play against. But I do wonder how the Power Fist not being interrupted or cancelable, what that actually means. Like, if you get stunned mid-animation, is it still going to go through?
I don't think so. It's just that you could animation, you could
accidentally animation.
You
cancel.
can
I do it
animation
all the
cancel
time.
it very easily, and that I think is actually a buff. I think that's nice for people who were messing up that part, and I am one of those
Waving my
people.
hand.
Yeah, no, 100%. I have pulled, and then it's just he's he's starting to show Ryukin a bunch of times, and then finally gets it off, way too late after they've flashed or something, and you're really angry. So I actually really like that change.
We'll have to see how it works out because 75 units, I think that's a decent amount. I don't know, like
That pretty much puts it right in.
It's an auto attack range.
Yeah,
It's a 125 range on his auto attacks, anyways. But I don't think that the duration on Power Fist being reduced is really that big of a deal. It's so rare that you're really like walking around for 10
With it
seconds,
up.
or I guess even 5 seconds because that's now the new duration. Walking around with that, like just waiting, like
Right.
here it comes, guys. Here it comes.
that's the emotional torture. Come on.
Nah, it's more like I can rocket grab. We don't really need to talk too much about this. This isn't that giant change. This isn't going to throw Blitzcrank into the forefront. He's still a bronze stomper. He still could be very good in all elos. Excuse me. But it's not something that we need to spend like 15 minutes on. Just know that he's changed and that it really should be easier to play him at this point. Lulu, she got some changes as well. Her base mana has been significantly increased from 292 to 350, so she'll be able to cast a few more spells earlier. Base movement speed has also been increased to 330. Glitter Lance, however, the damage now falls to 70% against targets hit beyond the first. So it's going to be harder to wave clear with her, which is a lane.
Much harder to wave clear.
Yeah, it's a lane and obviously team fight Lulu nerf. But the slow duration has gone up to 2 seconds, which makes it better for supports.
I mean, it's not just
It's supposed to.
Giving power back in the utility instead because it's taking it away from like you can't shoot through waves like Lucian can because you'll now have damage falling off. But that 2 seconds is actually pretty good for like you think about an early like a level 1 to 5 glitter, or I should say level 1 to 5 Lulu having level 1 to 3 glitter lance. And even in top lane, if you're against a melee champion, you're now getting a 2 second slow from 1 second. That's going to allow you to get in more autos, allow you to harass more. But you're losing some of that damage probably because I doubt anyone's going to be walking into range that you can just hit them with a glitter lance super easily. Now it'll position a little bit better, but I think that's going to be very useful for the utility side of things, which is what they're trying to push Lulu towards instead of being such a bully.
Or also mid-game hits, like we were saying the other day, when you've got max points in Q, because you're leveling that first, and old Q maxes at 2 seconds. So this only helps during the laning phase.
You're also not going to be able to just queue through waves into people as well and do significant damage. Like you're going to be having to use E way more often. So like you're using up more mana as well if you want to get that full amount of Q damage off by like Eing onto a minion and then hitting a player because
assuming you don't hit your E target with that Q as well.
Right. So it's this is going to change things a little bit.
Whimsy, speaking of utility, now grants 15 to 35% attack speed for the duration. Whimsy is also your polymorph. So again,
that's
giving
real
movement
interesting.
Speed increase and AP buff.
The
Does
AP
it have
buff,
enough
I don't
uses
believe.
yet?
AP doesn't exist anymore. I don't believe.
Yeah, that was an
Oh,
I
they
think
took
that
away-
was
they
taken
took
a
away?
long time ago.
it gives you movement speed and attack speed now, right?
Yeah. So please play Lulu when I'm playing Olaf. Thanks.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
this makes her even better in those like shield the cog, shield the Tristana type comps. Although suppose before she was run as a mid laner with a shit ton of AP, you can, or even if you throw this on like a Jhin, it'll boost his attack damage by a decent amount too.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of time, like the Whimsy is such an interesting spell because it can be used both like defensively and offensively. But you can cast it on either enemies or allies to get either benefit. Like you can get offensive or defensive from your allies or your opponents. Because if you have somebody you really need to take care of diving, like an Aurelia, you can Whimsy them. Obviously not the best target with her CC reduction, but the polymorph is really, really effective. But if you have somebody like a hyper carry that you're getting, if you want Ardent Sensor too, you're getting attack speed from that when you shield them. You have the attack speed from Whimsy now. You could do a lot of stuff with like a hyper carry comp with that you might have expected to see like a Janna or a Soraka originally. Lulu might become a little bit better for hyper carry comps because of that.
I'm still saving Whimsy to polymorph a diver though, just because. That's why I'm picking Lulu is because I can shut down an army of divers that come after my AD carry.
Right.
Like,
But you're thinking about
my
it now.
carry, polymorph you, exhaust you, slow the rest of the enemy team. So I'm still looking to do that. But if you only have one person to worry about, only one diver, then you could just use exhaust to him and then use Whimsy on your carry.
I think it's hard to say. I still think she could be I still think she'd be a really great top laner even with these changes, just because
That damage fall off is nasty.
70% beyond the first isn't. 30% damage fall off. Don't get me wrong. That's a
That's
lot
huge
of
for a wave
damage.
clear.
Yeah,
it's
the
huge
wave
for
flare
wave
scares me
clear.
the most with that.
But she scales so well. She obviously can't be a mid laner because she can't clear as quickly as she previously could. Especially pro play. Like pro play, you have to pick 2 mids that can just wave clear all game because they fucking sit in mid lane for 15 minutes by themselves and they don't do anything. But with the ability power ratio that like it is on her R and how much of an additional shield it gives, and you're not building that much AP when it comes to Lulu, I think it might be harder to pigeonhole her into a support, especially with the changes to like Forbidden Idol and whatnot. Well, Forbidden Idol actually
I think
increasing
it's going
shields
to be
by 15%.
really good on her. I think that's going to actually be really good.
Now that I think back, I could see Lulu transition back into support role.
I think it'll be
this is
interesting.
Definitely better support.
Yeah, I definitely think that I disagree that you always use it for poly. I think that if you're sieging at a tower, you throw it on your 80 carry. It allows them to obviously they're getting the shit ton of move speed. Even with not a ton of AP, with just a little bit of AP, you're getting enough move speed that's very noticeable. And then 35 flat attack speed, that'll help you shred the tower and get out.
Fair point.
She's being picked almost triple the amount in support than any other role, though. So
and again,
I think that
numbers
that's
are
just
because
they nerfed
skewed.
her lanes so much.
No, this is from the last patch.
Oh, okay. Are you looking at Champion GG?
Yeah.
I thought you might be looking at pro builds.
No, not quite.
No. You're saying that she's mostly support right now before the patch?
Yes.
Yeah, no. I mean, the last couple of times they touch her, they've nerfed her quite a bit. So they're trying to bring her back up without making her OP in the other lanes.
Yeah. I think that'll. Yeah, we'll.
I mean, when she was originally released, they had been saying we're releasing our first support, and it's a Yordle,
Right.
and they tried to push her as a support forever. I mean, that was the big hype when I remember when she was first released. So then people realized, wait a second, I could play her mid lane, and she's been hard balancing out for a Riot for a very long time.
Well, let's talk about Tom Kench. Because speaking of another support that has had some interesting changes to push him back into the support role. The first change here we'll start with is they removed the passive on R, so you no longer get that additional 2, 4, 6% bonus health as damage when you put a point in R. However, now that has been moved over to his passive, but the amount of damage has been lowered. So the basic attacks and abilities deal 1 to 1.5% of his maximum health is bonus magic damage, and it stacks 3 times versus enemies. So he ends up doing more damage. If he's hit, or excuse me, enemies, champions.
Enemy champions.
So if he's hitting champions, and he's hitting them with a lot of abilities and harassing a lot, or even just trying to stack that passive by walking up and auto attacking them twice, he's getting more damage than what his previous passive was earlier.
Earlier, yes, because he's getting that 1 to 3% bonus
And
before level 6. So levels 1 through 5, he's getting that, or 1 through 11, he's getting that.
Yeah.
But before, he didn't get that 2% damage until he put a point to his ultimate.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're changing that so he does more. He does a little bit more damage earlier, and you're being rewarded for stacking your passive all the way up.
It's like if you get into like just straight up sitting there and autoing each other, like he's gonna win out because of this, but it's gonna be a lot less damage than before if you're just talking about queuing them from max range every time it's up, which was kind of the annoying part. Is you just throw a tongue out, you do 2% of their max damage.
Or
now you kind of
his max health is damage.
Sorry, I thought it scales off your max HP.
Right.
Scales off. Yeah. Correct.
He used to do bonus health as damage, and now it is on max health. So it's doing more damage as the game goes on, because it's not just based off opponent's health,
right.
It's based on all of his health.
Off Tom Kent's bonus health as damage, and now it's Tom Kent's maximum health as bonus damage. So, okay.
Yeah, so you're doing more damage as you put items into your kit over the course of the game by moving it over here. It's just
this and the other
weaker.
This and the other buffs. The other buff to Q seemed like they're trying to give him a little bit more damage, but then they take away a lot of tankiness. I'll let you finish though.
All right, yeah, Q just had a slight damage increase. It goes 80 to 280 now, so it's just a slight damage increase at levels 2 to 5. E Thick Skin, they're trying to make him a little less tanky, or they're trying to make him so he's movable, because before he was immovable.
Yeah.
Damage to Gray Health conversion now scales with rank. It used to be 100% damage taken, is now 70 to 90%. Gray Health to healing conversion was 20 to 44, it is now 25 to 45%, but the shield only lasts for 3 seconds. However, the cooldown is a flat 6 seconds at all ranks.
So that's still while that gray health to healing conversion did go up, that's still a significant nerf, because you were 30%
for 3 seconds now.
No, it's not that. It's the amount of gray health you get in the first place is what they really nerfed.
Yeah.
Like I agree that a shield lasting 6 seconds is already ridiculous, and being 3 is pretty. I think
especially how
par
big
for the
it got.
course. Yeah, I think 3 seconds is pretty par for the course in terms of shields.
Yeah.
But the fact was that you could take the damage, heal a significant chunk of it back, and say, well, cool, I'm Garen for a second because that's what his passive does, and it works real great. Just walk back for a little bit.
And don't forget the shield no longer decays over the duration because it went down to 3 seconds.
I think that is also smart. But this is also like an ability that previously, all right, so for a 1-point wonder, which is what people were building, I believe on Thick Skin, that's a gigantic nerf. Like 30% of the gray health that was gained is just gone. It's similar to what we just talked about with Lulu's Q falling off. That's a huge chunk. But it makes up, I think, for the damage that they're giving him early on. So it's at least giving some counterplay. And I think that's actually really smart. And I like the additional, like the buffs to his ult that we'll get to in a second too.
We can talk about him right now because I want to talk about Tahm Kench overall. Channel duration went from 15 to 6 seconds, so it only channels for 6 seconds now. Cast delay is 0.25 seconds rather than 1, so you can get into it and start moving more quickly. The enemy warning time is only 1 second, but the range has also been increased to 4,500 units at base rank, up to 65. So he had 500 units across the board added every time.
So that channel duration is a very unimportant number, really, because it's just saying that you had 15 seconds to wait for somebody to hop in your mouth. It's now just 6 seconds. Honestly, if you can like spare the 15 seconds to wait for something like that, I don't know what is going on in your game of League of Legends, but that's absurd. 15 seconds is a long time.
To be fair,
it's a non-responsive person jumping into your mouth.
To be fair,
that
solo queue in a nutshell is non-responsive people.
Right.
Well,
I like what they're doing. Obviously, the ult changes are all kind of utility changes, and they're nerfing his tankiness a little bit, but at the same time, in some ways, it's kind of the same if you're talking about just lane sustain, because they buffed the gray health to healing conversion a little bit, and they also made the cooldown on Thick Skin a lot lower, from 16 seconds down to 6 seconds flat.
I think we will start seeing Tahm Kench the moment that we start seeing assassins take over. Like, we are slowly moving. League of Legends, we've always talked about this, moves in waves, and it's based off of top lane, really. In that, as long as tank top laners are not there, assassins can start coming in because we'll have more damage. So it moves in waves. Now we're having damage top laners, and we'll move back to tank top laners. You know what I'm saying? As soon as we start seeing assassins really start to take over, more Fioras, more Zeds, Yasuos, LeBlancs, whatever it may be, you keep adding those champions to it. Eventually, Tahm Kench is going to come back in the fray because he's going to need to protect somebody. But a lot of that also is based on the support meta because he can't stay on par with all of the poke-heavy supports that are dominating right now.
That all sells well good, but you have to survive the laning phase against today's version of the mages that are in there, like Zyra and stuff that you see all the time. Like, his gray health conversion is not going to be able to keep up with some of that poke. And if it is, then you're out playing the lane.
It's going to take a little bit of shift between supports and top laners, probably primarily supports, for him to come back. But as soon as we see that shift away from mage supports, whatever that may take to do that, then Tahm Kench is going to slowly start creeping his way back in there as he's going to be able to protect those hyper carries.
I like the direction I went with it.
Mm-hmm. It's a good buff. I just hope people remember it in 3 or 4 patches when he becomes relevant again, because that's probably what it's going to take.
Yeah.
Speaking of tanky supports, Thresh has had some changes, and these are just more changes for the people who are playing Thresh a lot, and their quality of life changes, and that's passive. Epic monsters now drop 2 souls rather than 1, and Dark Passage, it actually is more intuitive, and that's if you hook somebody and you toss your lantern outside of the range that it's supposed to go, Thresh will no longer walk toward the minimal cast range. He'll just toss it to the maximum cast range you can cast the Thresh lantern. And if he's hooked and he starts moving towards somebody, the leash range will have a short grace period before breaking the leash. So he can start moving towards somebody and have somebody jump in.
Yeah, which is just, it's making it easier to pull off what those really cool looking Thresh plays that some people, you've seen them from pro players. They just they will pull themselves and pull a target with them
Or they'll land a hook, they'll take 2 steps back, throw a lantern, or all that other stuff. I think they helped a lot of his fringe cases, and also I think it's interesting that they removed his AP ratio for whatever reason that existed, and then they added an extra shield soul ratio, so that makes his W shield a little bit more impactful. Whereas before you would kind of throw it out and just hope it was enough to save someone.
That's really good. Like that's so good. Like you're talking about. All right, I'm gonna guess.
Effectively,
assuming you're
0 shield before.
Yeah, you barely built. If you got AP on Thresh, I don't know what you were buying very frequently to pull that off. But if you're talking about just getting souls, I don't know that there's a stat I can look up to find like an average souls per game. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say like 70 sounds kind of normal. Even though if that might sound like a lot to some people, that's only going to translate to about 50 armor and AP. So you were, if you remember, getting AP from souls. So it's you kind of lose a 0.4 AP ratio, which in terms of souls would be like I think 0.3. Like each soul would give you 0.3 shield, which is kind of terrible. So now you're getting a full 1 instead.
Did it have
I think that's
AP
amazing. Huh?
Yes, it had an AP ratio before.
0.4 AP ratio.
I'm looking at it now and it doesn't say, but it must have already updated.
Yeah, they update that pretty fast.
Yeah, so that's incredible. Like a 70 extra shield, if like estimations are right on that, just for free is pretty awesome. Like that, and that's going from like what would have been like maybe 20. I think that's like 50 shield is nothing to scoff at.
It's a straight buff across the board because any Thresh player isn't building any kind of AP at all. Mikhail's doesn't have it. Locket doesn't have it.
You're not building AP.
No, I'm saying like none of his items that he's picking up. Well, yeah, the souls were giving. The souls give 0.5, if I remember correctly, AP per pickup.
Okay, when I first read this, I thought they got rid of the AP on the souls.
No,
it's just
just AP ratio on the W.
It's such a good buff.
That is then. I saw AP ratio removed.
Sorry,
and
each
it
soul
was talking about souls, so that's on me. That's bad by me.
Each soul gives 0.75 ability power.
Okay, so he's still getting the AP to like do a little bit more damage on his ult and his hooks and stuff. All right, I misread that.
This is great.
Yes.
Well, he's actually losing some damage through that though, because Flay, Ultimate, and Q all have an AP ratio, so he is losing some damage through not having this. I'm sorry. No. Shut up! I got it, motherfuckers. I was thinking for some reason I had it in my head that his souls didn't have the AP ratio. It's just W that doesn't have the AP ratio.
That's what I thought, and I just said I made a mistake.
I was looking up the shit as you were saying it. I'm sorry. I really wasn't.
All right, cool. It's good. That's the
so Thresh buff now playable. He was completely garbage before.
Yes,
right.
That's the TLDR.
Zyra. You can look at all these changes of Zyra and go, all right, Zyra got changes, she needed it. But you want to know what the biggest fucking change of this patch is? It isn't that the passive now has had a seed spawn time increase. It's not that Q had a bug fix. It's not that Rampant Growth had a ammo recharge increase. It's that there's a bug fix that the plants no longer fucking auto-target champions as soon as they walk into range. Plants, no matter what they were fucking doing, would auto-target a champion the moment they walked into range.
So if you wanted to go harass Zyra...
So is it a Torbjorn turret?
Automatically.
Yes, it's a Torbjorn turret. Toblerone. All these changes are great. She needed these. She needed a little bit of change. She was a beast out of the bottom lane. She's a beast out of mid. There's no reason she can't sit mid. There's no reason she can't go bottom, but she shouldn't just be de facto all the time amazing out of bottom lane. And it's honestly, even if you weren't abusing the bug that plants auto-attack champions, you were using it without knowing it.
Yeah, you didn't have to make a conscious effort to take advantage of that.
All the time?
Automatically did it.
No matter what. If they were attacking minions and
if you
walked
in
into
range of them, it was going to hit you.
Yep, they automatically turned around and targeted champions. It's a bug fix later in the patch.
Oh no, it says it right here. Under Zyra.
Oh yeah, it does.
I just didn't know if it was 100% or just some use cases because it just says fixed a bug. It doesn't say fixed a bug where it was always doing it or not. So
it automatically target.
It's also worth noting that that despite obviously these being complete nerfs, there's no way to just debate that part. It's also as a whole to the support role, Zyra gained nothing from the support like changes to items. So that's actually going to help significantly all the other supports because she's like, I don't care about that. You guys go have fun. and so like Adam, you'll be even happier because it means that all the other supports are getting bumped up to come in line with someone like her.
I'm actually not happy because Zyra's an a fucking amazing support, and I love her when she's on my team.
So, all right, so...
But I'm also happy because people don't ban her, and then she gets picked, and I have to deal with it.
You can still play Karma with Ashe, it's fine.
So all you have to do is auto-attack someone once, and it'll prioritize them. But if they go out of the range and come back in...
Well, the difference before was like you could put them pretty far up and never have to worry about ever being in a dangerous spot to auto-attack them. Like, you had huge zoning potential without knowing that you had zoning potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, huge.
Like, I mean, if you had a plant in their lane bush and you were back at the tippy tip end for some reason of your lane bush, that plant, if it's activated, will hit them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it should, though.
No, it would hit them.
It would even
hit them,
if they're...
If there was minions in the lane, it was already hitting the minions.
I think, honestly, I think it should almost... I think the planet should always prioritize champions and just balance it around that. Instead of balancing it around, she's only strong when there's not minions around.
Well, no, I mean, she's strong when minions are around if she does other damage to the person because doing damage redirects the plan.
No, I see what you're saying. I'm just saying, what if they were to instead make it so that if there's champion in range, always prioritize champions?
That's
I mean, there's spells
would be at the spot that we're at right now.
No,
but
it was before.
I'm saying
If they were out of range and then came into range, it would start attacking them.
Yeah.
Yes.
It didn't matter what
I'm
the plants
saying,
were
what
doing.
if they balance around that? Having plants have a very specific motive, attacking champions, and then no champions, then attacking minions.
I mean, that's why they're nerfing it. It's just too strong because you get zoned by doing nothing. You get zoned for just dropping your plants.
You say the same thing, but like that's exactly how Swain's Q works right now. So it's kind of
and that, obviously Sonya. Like, there's a lot of spells in the game. Like Sonya's Q automatically prefers champions. Sona. Sorry.
Fuck you,
and
Hornet.
Ari always prefers champions. Like, there's all these spells in the game, but she can't for some reason. Even though, like, plant AI was garbage for, like, the past 3 years.
She's too good if they let it happen, apparently.
I'm just saying, make that the base case.
The baseline, yeah.
And nerf the damage a little bit. Now it's more consistent, at least.
They made the
It isn't whether or not,
to change the base case, so...
Yeah. Well, here's exactly how the priority works. Is against champions, Zyra's basic attacks apply a refreshing high priority mark for 3 seconds, and her pants apply a non-refreshing lesser priority mark on their target. So basically, if you get an auto attack in, they'll start attacking that and keep on refreshing that. But if they leave and don't come back within 3 seconds,
and that's fine because she has to get the auto attack on to make them.
Yeah, it's interactive in that case. Zyra actually has to be doing something.
Well, they also nerfed the ammo recharge on W, and I found myself many times not having W up when I needed it to do a combo, like a QW combo, so I think those are also going to hurt a decent amount.
Oh, they will.
A 3-second cooldown on a 1-point wonder is something that we've talked about, I don't know, pretty much the last 5 patches.
Happens.
No, it's happened so frequently in the last couple patches as 1-point wonders have just gotten they've either become very useful, i.e. Swain, or gotten nerfed significantly in this case.
Let's talk about Gnar, because we're going back to Gnar Aurelia with these changes. It's just going to be top lane all the time. Gnar, passive, he gets more bonus rage. Mini Gnar passive bonus rage is 400 to 485, now 400 to 500. Q boomerang throw. Return radius, or return distance, is now 3,000 rather than 2,500. And the damage on Hyper, his W, the passive, has gone up to 15 to 55 from 10 to 50. So they're giving him a little bit of love to him because they want to see him back.
Because there's tanks everywhere and he's not...
Because they don't play top lane and they don't know the struggle to play against Gnar.
They've been poking at this one. They've been very slowly pushing him there's like a 3 attack damage base.
Yeah, I was about to say, did we just talk about his attack damage buff and his other buffs for like 30 minutes?
Isn't this like, I want to say it's a YouTube video or something where you've got the silverback gorilla dressed up in like a suit and shit, and somebody comes out there and they slowly are poking at him to get him to do something because he's standing on a stage? That's what reminds me of Gnar. They're just poking him to make him turn into Mega Gnar and go fucking ape shit.
And then he dominates the meta for a couple weeks.
Right.
When they change him again.
Well, I like that this is, ironically, I don't play top lane that much anymore, but they're like the two they're trying to push Gnar back into contention, one of my best, and Aurelia, who was my bae back in like season 2. So I'm really excited about maybe being able to play a different lane than support.
I mean, they're nerfing Aurelia.
Yeah, but she's been played. Like
She's still good. Aurelia
She's still better
Transcendence
nerf
Blade,
Aurelia.
Very good.
because of the introduction of Trinity Force, or excuse me, cooldown reduction on Trinity Force,
Attack speed.
and attack speed. Thank you. The Transcendence Blade cooldown had to be increased because it was up all the time.
Oh. Okay, sorry.
70 to 50, 110.
You brought up the
60.
cooldown reduction. I just thought you were talking about why the new Trinity Force was making her so good.
Oh no, I mean it's that too. I'm just saying the cooldown,
Yes.
the cooldown reduction on Transcendence Blade, the additional cooldown reduction on a already low cooldown ability made it so it was up all the time, and she never had to go back, and she could just farm forever and then go back and get huge spikes.
Yep, she'd just stay in lane forever, sustain forever. Always had I never had to track this cooldown. I just used it whenever I felt like it. That being said, this doesn't scare me off of playing Aurelia.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't think this is that big of a deal.
ever since Aurelia's ever existed, you'd always see Aurelia's just use their R to clear the waves. I mean, she's already a strong champion without having that nicety, so I think it's a smart direction.
I mean, there was a point in time briefly where R was actually very potent, and they quickly had to turn that down just because of how much it does. I mean, it's
They
ranged
changed
damage, and it also heals her. I mean, you can't have that be too powerful.
It's changed between types of damage in the past. If anyone remembers playing her that long ago, like it had to change types of damage, then how the healing works, so it wasn't all like every target gave the same amount of healing. But this is big because it's not just that you can spam it to clear waves, but it's such a good activator of Sheen and Trinity Force procs that having that up in every single fight whenever you say, I think I'll go up for a fight now, please, just says, I can fire this, get like maybe 2 extra Sheen procs off in the middle of a fight. It's super easy. And now that you have a longer cooldown on it, you don't have that every single time you come back to lane because you just died to Aurelia. You might have an easier time dealing with her.
Early.
40-second window is nice, yeah.
It's an incredibly nice window to deal with.
I have to agree with that a little bit. So in that scenario, you're talking about team fights, in which case, yeah.
I'm not talking about team fights. I'm talking about I'm talking about dueling. Like you're 1v1ing
you're
up
doing
top.
top lane. You don't need this to keep rocking Sheen. You can just
I
kill
agree,
your
but
opponent.
I'm saying like it makes it easy. But you'd have it up like for every single one of those fights.
Yes, yeah, but again, it's not.
By the time
you don't
team fights
need
come
it
around,
to proc Sheen over and over again. It is good for the small amount of burst it provides, but like I don't need. I'm not tracking my R because I need R to kill my opponent.
Okay.
Just not a big deal. But what you say does apply for a very prolonged team fight, which is what I was getting to. Is that you are going to have this up late game because it goes on to 60 seconds, and again, it's going to be up every time you want it at that point. So,
all right, let's talk about Jarvan and Kindred. Jarvan probably not that big of changes, but they're trying to make it so it gets a little bit more tanky and a little less damage. Base shield has increased, or excuse me, more damage and less tanky. I went the opposite way. Base shield has gone down from 50 to 170. It was up to 210 previously. The bonus shield per enemy champion hit has gone up from 20 to 60 and now 20 to 100, and the radius is now 600. So he gets a little tankier when he uses his shield on multiple champions.
If you hit a bunch of people, you're going to be getting a huge shield now. Whereas before it was a tiny bit bigger, but it didn't scale as well by the champions. So it's trying to reward you being in the middle of enemy team. It also got a radius buff, so it should be easier to hit more people. I think Jarvan's kind of like, it doesn't really, this is not going to bring him back a huge amount, but I don't know. I know they've had a couple of buffs to him in a little bit in a row here and there, and I know they buffed his W a little bit back, so
if they want
maybe he comes back.
Sorry, if they want him on the jungle, they just got to give him a little bit more. He's got to clear a little bit faster to get out of the jungle more consistently.
Yeah, I mean, his early game's
so slow.
Yeah, it's clear slow, and if you get invaded on by like a Kindred or a Lee Sin, you're just like
or a Lease. Like, you won't have a good time.
Yeah,
I'd say that
his early ganks are still good. I mean, they're always going to be just because the way EQ works. But yeah,
I'd say that this is like actually a buff. Like I can't actually consider it a nerf, even though the base shield went down. Because
no, it's definitely a buff.
Because the number, like if you hit one enemy champion with the shield, it's the same number as before, no matter what. And then if you get more than that, you're getting a bigger and bigger shield than before. So like I think that I don't know many times when you're activating your W outside of the range of an enemy champion, except in the jungle. So I think it's actually very, very good for jumping in the back line and saying, hey, what's the max you can get on that? 500, a 670 shield. I don't think you're getting that often, but that'd be pretty sweet.
Well, if you get some people in your R, that's what helps you survive a multiple-man cataclysm.
All right, let's talk about Kindred. Base armor of Kindred has gone down by 7 to 20. Armor growth stat has gone up, though, to 3.5, so she's a lot squishier early until she gets some levels under her. Wolf's Frenzy no longer grants a heal, so not only is she squishier, but she no longer gets the heal. However, they've made it so that Wolf now maims jungle monsters, reducing their attack speed and movement speed by 50% for 2 seconds. So they're just trying to make you kite the jungle camps more.
You can't direct your Wolf attacking, right?
This is a very interesting way to allow her to still clear the jungle, but not be an amazing duelist and kill you in your jungle at level 2 every time, or 3. I think it was a very clever way to go about this, because they want to see her. They want to see her clearing the jungle. They want to see her coming out and ganking, but they don't want to see her every single game just freaking 2v1ing people at level 3.
Not to mention, you're going to have to be way better at kiting the jungle minions because you aren't getting that health back and you have less defensive stats. So it's like every time they hit you means way, way more. So like you're going to have to be way busier because you don't have that fallback of, oh, I got hit, I'm going to heal.
I mean, I don't think your armor is going to catch up for that 7 base loss till probably like level 18 or something, but it's
going to be like 7 or 8, or to catch up to the base can be about level 7 or 8.
14.
No, no.
Oh no, I guess 0.25.
You're not going to ever catch up to it.
Yeah.
No, so you won't catch up to it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but I didn't think so. Yeah, thank you. But like at the beginning, those levels 1 through 3, have you ever played on a Smurf without armor runes? That's what it's like. You're like playing with, instead of 9 less armor, you have 7 less armor. That's going to make a huge difference. And now you're not getting a heal anymore on Wolf's Frenzy. They're going to make it a little bit easier on you by giving you what I guess is called Wolf's Gang, where it maims the jungle monsters. So that's going to allow you to kite it. That's going to make it a little bit easier.
But he attacks whoever the fuck he wants, right?
It's whoever Kindred just attacked. It's whoever it prioritizes who Kindred just attacks. So I think you can bounce that between. Well, no, both. You can do it to both and then focus on whichever one you like.
Okay. How often does he attack?
He attacks. I believe it lasts for 2 seconds. It lasts for 2 seconds, which I think is pretty big. It scales with 50% of Kindred's bonus attack speed. I think it's like Kindred's attack speed, but it only gets 50% of Kindred's bonus. But I mean, you're getting enough attacks off that you can maim all the targets you want to. I'm thinking mostly of wolves and more so Krugs. I think that the monsters that die quicker, like raptors, aren't going to matter that much.
Raptors will die within 2 or 3 Qs.
It'd be very good for Krugs, though, like you said.
Yeah, I think that's going to be super great because you can kite them very well. Like you can kite. Well, yeah, also Gromp. And Gromp actually has a range. The range attack on Gromp will be a little bit still not great.
It'll be
the attack
not
speed
fun.
At least.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, definitely. But I think that like Krugs, who you can kite super easily now, it's like Graves. You're playing like as a Graves against Krugs for a little bit.
I wonder if this. I don't play a lot of Kindred. I wonder if this makes her clear less healthy. I'm assuming it does. But moreover, if you can kite it 100 times better than before, and you're very, very good and skilled at kiting, then maybe there's a use case where you are hitting the same amount of health, give or take, as you were before. But now if you go to fight the enemy champion. Correct. So I'm saying there's a use case for people that play a shit ton of her that aren't named Adam. But if you go to 1v1 someone, you have 7 less armor, and that makes a huge difference in early trades.
Yeah. Let's talk about Swain. The Swain nerfs are now in here. That is Ravenous Lock. I was reading initial lockout. Ravenous Flock now has a 20-second cooldown rather than 10, which is a pretty not giant nerf, it's pretty significant nerf. And the initial lockout and recast was 0.5 seconds. It's now 2 seconds. You just have to be smarter with using your R. You can't just use it to harass whenever the fuck you want or gain life back whenever the fuck you want.
I mean, Swain just can't be unkillable like a Mundo.
Not in lane, at least.
Does damage.
So that's Swain. Syndra, if she wasn't already in your playlist, should probably be in your playlist for Solo Q because she got a bunch of bug fixes in this patch, which we won't go over. Trundle.
She's new as Azir.
Yeah.
She has a lot of bugs that still need fixing.
Well, when you got it's like a Azir because you have all these interactions with inanimate objects or third, whatever, I don't know what you fucking call them.
Soldiers and stuff.
Trundle, base health regeneration has gone from 9.4 down to 6. I'd just say that's a needed nerf for top lane Trundle.
Yeah.
Somebody
this
that
goes
has
back
so
to
much sustain already.
Sustain is a problem in top lane. Yeah. They touched on sustain a little bit with the Aurelia nerf, and now the Trundle nerf. Health regen nerf.
And Grasp of the
Maokai's still
Dying a
laughing.
patch or so ago.
Yep.
Well, Maokai's
That's
laughing
he's still
until he
working on
plays
this.
into like a Fiora or somebody that just pokes him out.
Yeah, assuming they come back, which is possible with teleport changes.
Twitch fixed a bug with ambush and Twitch. Vladimir also kind of like the same thing with Swain. They're fixing it so that the bonus health to AP ratio has been like lowered, increased. It now takes for every one ability power per 40 bonus health rather than 25. So you can't just build health and gain tons of AP anymore.
Yeah, it's a nerf. They reverted it to what it was before the rework. They're just taking it back.
And however, the AP to bonus
No
health
takesies, backsies.
ratio is 1.4 to 1 rather than 1 to 1.
So I did some number crunching on this. Yay!
Woo.
So if you get Spirit Visage and Vlad, which you're probably doing, you're going to get 7.5 less AP. Proto Belt I saw was popular. That's about math or hard, 4.5 less AP. And then 24
Bonus
or
health.
24 more HP. Oh my god. Okay, so if you get Spirit Visage, Proto Belt, and Rylas, you're effectively getting 18 less AP and 64 more HP. There. How about that?
So, slight nerf, but not by that much.
Well, Transfusion got a damage nerf. It was 80 to 160. It is now 75 to 135. Or 75 to 135. But the
But they
ability
buffed
power
the
sheet.
AP ratio. So they're trying to make sure that you can't build just HP.
Build a little bit more. Build some Rylai's on it, maybe.
And yes, and by building that AP, you're getting some HP back.
That AP ratio.
Again, you're getting like
That AP
64 HP
ratio
back.
is a decent sized buff. I know they nerfed the base on it, but since you're getting more AP now from,
From items
yeah,
that you should be now building.
yeah, that's what I meant to say. If you're building more AP anyway, you're going to be highly rewarded for it for more than just the conversion. Is what I meant to say.
Rylas will give you 40 more HP. Same goes with every 100.
It's
AP
going to give you
item,
it's
obviously.
going to give you less AP, but you're still doing more damage off your Q anyway now.
Doing less damage
Anyway.
off your Q? Or more
More.
damage because of the AP ratio?
More,
No,
yeah, that's
not
what I
Less
said. More.
base. Less base.
less base. You're pretty much doing the same.
Yep. It's less base. Once you're buying the appropriate items, you might see a small increase if you build
Yeah.
quite a bit more AP.
So if you
You
have
need
2 or 3
250 AP to make it even.
which is all right, maybe a little bit more than 2 or 3 items, maybe 3 or 4.
Right.
Well, 20.
I mean,
250 is
it's
definitely
trying to.
reasonable.
I think it's trying to get away from like the 3 or 4
Spirit Visage
item
rush.
big health build because it's just basically like let's keep pulling on health, boys. We're gonna keep doing damage too. And
Maybe that's a second or third item now. I mean, he still wants to get that because of the health and the.
Fucking Clown Fiesta Vlad, we get it.
Folly Bear Frenzy. They said Folly Bear has been a problem in the jungle for a while now, and I can't say with the number of ranked games that I played, I can't say I've seen him, but I do know that he has a pretty high win rate. So Frenzy,
he's really good right now.
Frenzy
He could be
damage has been significantly increased. It was 80 to 260. It is now 60 to 260. 20 damage.
I mean, it got hit early.
Yeah, I
And
don't
attack
play a
speed
ton
per
of
stack
Volibear.
has actually gone down.
That's the part. That's the part that I think is going to hurt his clear a little bit, because obviously he's a single target clearer. I don't play a ton of Volibear. I haven't seen a ton of Volibear, but he's been in the top win rate at jungle or top 3 for quite a while.
Let's see. I've played a decent amount of Volibear this season. Actually, I've been playing a lot of Volibear and a lot of Skarner. And this is definitely going to hurt early.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's going to be like a 15-second difference from when you can gank.
Yeah,
Is
that's substantial.
off the top of my head, that's my educated guess.
I would say that's fairly accurate. Maybe even a little bit
plus-
more.
Plus, because you're doing less damage, you're also going to take more out of the damage out of the jungle too, and you have less early threat when you actually reach people. So, like, again, if you want to talk about small damage difference being, that difference between kills and not getting kills, W is a great execute not getting off that little bit of damage might be the difference between actually executing or not.
Well, and like you're getting less attack speed, so stack, so you're getting to that third stack, which you need in like a small skirmish, slower. Yeah. So it's only almost like a multiplicative nerf because your attack speed's helping you get more attack speed, and you're nerfing the attack speed, which helps you get more attack speed.
He's also pretty scary in top lane too, for pretty much the exact same reasons.
Oh yeah.
His frenzy is so powerful early.
On to support items,
Ziggs?
I guess.
Okay. Yep.
Because we got to talk about those. I'm just going to go quickly over Relic Shield line. They actually buffed Relic Shield. It used to execute at a flat amount of life left on a minion, but they want to make it easier for you to execute as the game goes on and the minions gain life. So now it scales with a... Now they've reduced the base, the minion execute. For example, Face of the Mountain is 320. It was 400. However, they've added a scaling ratio to it where it is a flat number times your level. So Relic Shield, for example, is 195 plus 5 times your level health.
It breaks even at level 4 for everyone down the line except at Relic Shield, it just breaks even at level 1. So you're gaining easier executes later on. It's making sure you can deal with like those super late game minions. You can still be effective with that instead of just waiting. Like there's a lot of times you walk around and be like, "Hey guys, can I get no, not that one? No, wait, you guys took shit. You took all of them."
Please let me have a caster at least, please. Please, guys, I have 4 of these hovering around me. Let me execute them. You get more gold too, please.
Yeah.
Ancient Coin, Nomad's Medallion, and Talisman of Ascension have had some changes.
I like these changes a lot.
Ancient Coin now has 5% cooldown reduction flat on it. Nomad's
for free.
Medallion now builds out a Fairy Charm and 375 gold. Previously, it was a Fairy Charm and Rejuvenation bead plus 225 gold, so they just got rid of the Rejuvenation bead. The total cost is still 850 gold. The cooldown reduction is increased to 10%. The health regeneration has been decreased to 25%. However, the mana regeneration has been bumped up to 75%, so you get less health, more mana, and more cooldown reduction. Finally, Talisman of Ascension now builds out of Raptor's Cloak and Nomad's Medallion plus 250 gold. However, the total cost is now 2,500 gold. It's gone up from 300. It's gone up 300 gold because of Raptor's Cloak. It has 45 armor on it. It has 150% health regeneration and 75% mana regeneration, and now has the Raptor's Cloak point runner on it, so you run faster if you run by towers.
Yeah,
holy shit.
I built this on a support Janna game instead of the Frozen one because they had, I think, 3 straight AD champions, maybe 4, and I was just like, well, let me get the armor on it, and we'll have the disengage for when they're diving my backline, or engage, so... I think that this is in a much better spot than it was before.
I say a much better spot than it was before is an amusing concept because no one was building this.
Yeah,
I think
even
the only
ones.
maybe Soraka, and that's the end of the list of people that were building Ancient
Even
Coin.
then, did she even upgrade into Talisman, or did she go the Eyes of the Watcher, or whatever it was called?
Dude, I don't.
It's the problem. I like this. I like these changes. I think the problem comes in that Frost Queen's Claim and all the items that build into it are too good early game when it comes to harassing and being lane bullies, because even Soraka and Janna can be lane bullies with that extra damage that's coming out of those.
Yeah, I think that I think Tally hit it on the head, though, with the armor. Like, having armor built into something that you were already... Like, no one's not a fan of the Talisman buff, or sorry, the Talisman active. In addition to the fact that now... that Righteous Glory is gone. I know that the meta where everyone's building Righteous Glory, giving a buff to everyone and zooming in and messing people up was a big thing. Now Talisman's the only thing that does a Sivir-like buff.
Yeah.
I think that the addition of armor is going to make it way more viable as a late game item or even an early build item because now it's useful in lane. You've got armor you can build into early. If you're going to say, hey, Ancient Coin is pretty much I'm going to stay in lane and get benefits from having this item for a while in lane, but I'm not a Relic Shield buyer. I'm not a Frost Queen's Claim kind of harasser. I think it's a really good buff for an item that it just wasn't seeing any play. I think this is going to be great. Like an incredibly good change.
We're going to have to see a shift in what supports are being played and how they're being played for this item.
Well, we are. Keep going down the list.
That could happen.
Keep going down the list.
I know. Forbidden Idol now costs 850 gold total. Has gone significantly up from 550, but it gives 10% bonus healing and shielding power, and that affects everything. We're talking Artits, Mikhail's Crucible. We're talking... Locket of the Iron Solari. We're talking anything and everything that you can use as shield off yourself. That'll increase it by 10%. It's like
just like how Wind Speakers works.
Right.
Sorry,
However,
same idea.
with Forbidden Idol, it is unique, but it's more of like how a death cap is to mages. This is to supports, where you're better off building AP after you get the item rather than stacking items that give you % bonus. Keep that in mind. So it's better to have extra AP because you'll get more out of the 10% than you will if you just keep getting tons of percentage because you don't have any AP to build off it. I like that. We talked a lot about that today. I kind of wonder. I agree with Days when I was talking about it. I kind of wonder if supports will not necessarily rush into this, but get this as second or third item and just sit on it for a long time and then eventually upgrade it later because of the 10% bonus heal and shielding.
Upgrade it when they need. Hold on a second.
It is up to 850 gold now, so remember that sports don't get that much gold, and they also the new talisman item was significantly more gold too. Is not now.
Well, Mikhail's Crucible builds out of it right now.
Okay.
And that has 15%.
Oh, and then there, yeah.
So
the combined
yeah.
cost of that's down, but yeah.
So the interesting thing, in my opinion, is that like you just said, oh, don't stack all of these, like don't stack percentages, but I honestly don't have a problem with going Sensor and Mikhail's. Like getting 30% just bonus heal and shielding when you like on a champion that has one or both, like a Janna, like you're getting a significant like boost to those. You already like both of the passive / actives because Ardent Sensors is kind of a passive when you get the attack speed on shields. Mikhail's you get the heal and then it builds. It just keeps compounding on those. I think that's really cool, followed by the next item, which I hope really comes into play because it's been so shit forever.
Well, if we think let's talk Janna, for example, okay? Eye of the Storm. Max rank shields for 240, has a 0.7 AP ratio with plus 15% healing, it gets 36, but with an AP value, it gets 51. So by building AP, you get more out of it. What
AP value?
Yeah, how much AP?
Yeah, what number was that based on?
It's based off of It's based off of flat AP. I have to look at the source spreadsheet. Here we go. I actually have the source spreadsheet in front of me.
Stand by.
It has AP ratio 0.6, AP value of 50.
So you're comparing 15% bonus healing and shielding to a flat amount of AP.
To a flat amount of AP. Which it actually doesn't tell me what it's based off of. I thought I had that in front of me. Yeah. This is. I think it's assuming you have Ardent Sensor. Yeah, it's assuming you have Ardent Sensor, I guess. If you have built Ardent Sensor and want more healing, you should stack AP and/or Thenes over other plus healing items. That's what it's assuming. If you had built Ardent Sensor.
It's a 0.6 ratio. Did you say?
Yes, Janna is. No, it's 0.7. That's Eye of the Storm.
I think. I see. The thing is, I don't think it's about maxing your heal and shielding though. It's about getting the items that were already really good. Or you already are thinking, okay, these are pretty good for somebody like Janna who's playing the utility role. You're not going to keep stacking AP. You're going to keep going for more things that keep boosting your utility. Mikhail's gives you that takeaway hard CC. Ardent Sensor is great for your hyper carries. Like I think that's just adding more power to the champions that weren't so much about harassing early and pushing them towards a utility role.
There's no argument that this isn't adding more power to it because Ardent Sensor is already starting to see play. Mikhail's is a base on supports right now, and it's obviously when you heal them, you're going to be healing them for more, shielding them for more. It's a fantastic buff for the Jannas. The Sona has a shield as well and a heal. In Soraka, she gets a buff out of this. But that's only after they get the items. So we have to see if they can make it through the laning phase to the point that they can build an Ardent Sensor or Mikhail's, because you still have to go into Sightstone. You still have to build either your tier 2 or tier 3 support item before you can get into these items.
So the other one, Ruby Sightstone, is the other buffed support item, which they lowered the total cost by 200 on it to bring it down to 1,600. A lot of people probably don't realize for a long time, kind of like people didn't realize that the Lucidity boots had Summoner Spell cooldown reduction. Ruby Sightstone was giving activatable item cooldown reduction, and that got boosted from 10 to 20 because I don't know how many times you've seen a Ruby Sightstone in a long time, but it's about built as frequently as our ancient coin was. So I think this is an incredible buff because there's eventually going to be a breaking point when Ruby Sightstone is very viable. I know they haven't buffed it in a long time, But eventually, there's going to be so many activatable, like there's going to be a support that just builds like 3 activatable items. And suddenly that 20% is going to be so valuable so quickly that you're going to say, holy shit, we need to calm that down a little bit. And I think that'll end up being pushed back to like 15. But now it's more affordable. That's great. It was a last item build because no one said, I guess I could use the fourth ward. Yeah, but it has to be built later. It can't be built early because you're not getting anything out of the passive.
100% agree. It also was kind of expensive for what it gave. So I think the gold nerf might have almost brought it back into some sort of play anyway. And I knew about the active cooldown CDR, and they kind of an interesting synergy, because if you go the Eye of the Watcher and all sort of the combining the Sight Stone with the support item, you obviously didn't get an active, and then you didn't get the active cooldown. If you went with the upgraded support items, then you can get the Ruby Sight Stone, so you always have at least one active to use that with. But now it's synergizing even more, and the cost is down. I think this is going to bring it back up, especially if we start seeing a lot more Talisman in play, because that active is going to be really strong for coordinate teams.
I think it's going to be like, it was already kind of I have let's say super late game, I've got 5 items as a support. Like, what do I upgrade? Well, I guess I can upgrade Ruby Sightstone and get a bit of extra health, and I guess I get this activatable portion too. Now in that same scenario, you're getting a cheaper, more cooldown reduction, but now you at least have the conversation of, I have 2 activatable items. Is that enough to go Ruby Sightstone yet? I have 1, but it's really important. Is that enough to go it? I don't know, but I think that's going to be interesting to see if it starts getting built way more frequently because of these changes.
I mean, if you're thinking about a pure utility support who's going Mikhail's and Talisman, 20% CDR on those 2 actives specifically is really, really good.
That's ridiculous, actually.
Well, let's talk about wards now. I know we're supposed to be like the de facto, the ones that teach you how to play this game, but it's really hard to say how Forbidden Idol and all that will work without actually getting there and really playing with it. Like, math only tells a tale so far. We can say, if you buy Ardent Sensor and then you build AP on top of it, obviously it's going to do a lot better, but you should still buy Mikhail's for the cleanse. So it's hard to say if those champions that have those, it makes them up and over the edge. Sorry, your dog is like made me lose.
It's very ornery right now.
Yeah, it happens. That's what happens to little puppies. All right, let's wards. So wards now grant 30 experience when killed, 15 for blue, and that's
another support buff.
That's really interesting because you could technically take a sweeper to lane and kill a ward and hit level 2 without killing that last minion. Yeah, like the support could hit level 2 faster if they killed a ward.
It's like you wanted vision? Well, thank you for giving me level 2.
Right.
I would love if that became a thing, like a cheese strategy.
Hilarious.
It's like, hey, like anybody who like goes to the river to start like positioning early on and sees a ward get placed down, they're like, yo, get our sweeper dude there. Let's get him 30 XP up. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I could see it being a strategy where a support walks in the lane with a sweeper rather than the ward. Granted, you're down a little bit of visions through points of the game, but like you hit that level 2 cheese a minion faster than the enemy because you're killing a ward that takes less time to kill than a minion.
Now watch wards be put in really like dumb spots now in river, so that like
you get baited.
I mean you get baited to go out and check it, and then there's nothing there, but they didn't put it in the bush. They just put it like in the actual river near the wall, so that it's like surprise, no benefit for you, asshole.
What if you're Leona? You can clear the ward without a sweeper anyway.
Then fuck that.
Huge Leona buffs here.
Yeah.
For every 150 seconds that a ward is alive, it becomes visually swaggier for the team that placed it.
So just pink wards.
So some more support buffs. More support
pink
buffs.
wards and blue wards. That's it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Some of those pink wards I've seen you drop in the enemy jungle will last a long time.
Dude, yeah, the value pinks, man.
How swaggier will it get?
We don't.
How swaggy will it get?
Let's talk about teleport, because I don't get to talk about any of this shit.
That's the last thing. We really talk teleport.
Teleport. Okay, so now teleport takes 4.5 seconds to channel rather than 3.5. This really hurts. I have been watching streams all day, and it feels like you are teleporting forever to get into anything. Like your teleports have to be pristine to get into a gank in the bottom lane now.
It's fucked me up too. The first time I saw this, someone was teleporting bot lane and I was playing support, and I went in about the time that, because you have that sound memorized for when they start to appear just on instinct. It's been the same, I think, cast time. I know they changed a lot of things about teleport, but I think the cast time has been the same for years, man. So it threw me way off, and hearing the sound keep on going after you're normally done like listening to it just sounds odd. It was like out of place. But get used to it. I get used to the change, and this is a nerf, and I've seen a lot more Ignite and Exhaust in ranked for top laners.
Cool.
That's it?
Yep.
Wow, silence.
I don't know.
I don't know what to
huge
say.
nerf to teleport.
A teleport's still going to be good. Teleport's still going to have its place. I have seen a lot teleport still, but it's about 50-50 now in top lane. I've seen double teleports on some teams, and the other team is 0 because they went Exhaust and or Ignite for their lane opponent. And they're just steamrolling the lane, especially when I've seen like a GP, because he has a global anyway, doesn't really need it.
It's a big nerf to mid laners too, because a lot of mid laners could take teleport.
Been taking it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Does this kick TF even more in the balls? Because
What do you mean kicking more of the balls?
Because there's a lot of TFs that were taking teleport.
I knew more TFs that took.
Ghost Flash.
Ghost Flash, man, Ghost Flash all the way.
Well, and I mean now, if anything, it makes TF's ult more valuable.
Yeah, I was about to say,
So,
this is like the reverse of kicking him in the balls. This is giving his balls a gentle massage with coconut oil.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, you
this
still
is-
have the superior teleportation
No,
ability.
This teleport hurts the most when you're using it to gank. When you're using it to get back to a lane, you're still fine. You're missing 1 more second of creeps, maybe.
Yeah. I think this is overall buff to the global champions that I talked about, like especially for top laners, Shen, GP, those champions that have they can kind of gank and be all over the map. They don't need teleport because they can help out. If their lane opponent teleports, oh well, I can throw GP ult. I'm going to keep pushing and farm and make it come back to this turret or lose it.
I wonder if they do something like since this is a full second nerf's pretty big. I wonder if they do something like Tom Kench, where it's they change the enemy awareness timer. Maybe they make it 3.5 seconds that the enemies can see you're teleporting, but it takes 4.5 seconds. I don't know. That'd be kind of weird, I realize. But
I
what
think
if
it's
they
still
did
good. I don't think they need to change it. I
know.
think it's still going to see it a lot. I think that it's just going to be a little bit less surprise. I'm in your face. You're going to have more time to react.
Yeah,
Because
they have
sometimes
to.
you'd be too far. If you're skirmishing and they start teleporting, you're fucked. You just can't get out of there in time. Now you have a little bit more time to react.
Yeah, if you're ganking bot lane, they definitely have to be engaged in a fight. I mean, I just off the top of my head, I tried teleport ganking bot lane yesterday when they were pushed up, but they weren't fighting, and they had enough time with 3.5 seconds just to run away. So they have to be preoccupied if you're actually gonna get a successful gank off with this, I feel.
I get another second to realize that I'm too close to the ward that is being teleported on to move out of the way. This is great.
Yep.
Thanks for the buff. By the way, Tuesday night ranked 5s in 2 weeks is going to be scheduled ranked 5s night, where we can all make our teams and play together. Because ranked
There's
5s
my main
is
account
coming back.
again. Oh my
Is
goodness.
that a thing? We can all like
We
queue
can
up at the
play
same
on our
time,
mains
maybe
now.
queue snipe each other.
Yeah, Punch can actually play in his main and have all of his
I'm
champions
so
now.
excited to be able to play more heroes.
Than Irelia.
I mean, I
you
love
can play-
Aurelia, but
Okay, nice.
And I can tally if he ever hits diamond before me, which won't happen. We can actually queue together if he hits diamond.
Yeah, so for the listeners that give a shit, I was in my diamond promos. It was 2-2. I decided to play.
Salt.
Yeah,
So we get
yeah.
Salt fucking shake her out.
Well, I finally got my ass in grind, and I started grinding games, and I almost immediately got back into my promos, and I went 0-2 or 2-0 to start the promos. Then I went 2-2, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna roll today. Let me play this last one, and got knocked back out. But I'll be back in it soon. I'll get diamond soon. Yeah.
He's just scared.
It's an
So I'm
interesting
catching up
patch.
to him. I'm catching up to him real fast. He got scared. He was like, "Oh shit, I got to get it before Adam gets it. I'm so close." And then he's fucking salt mine over here. This motherfucker's been crying.
There's a portion of me that wants to see Adam just fucking fall on his face if he
I mean,
gets
that is
to
the history.
just to listen to the larger salt mountain that will be on the plate before us.
No, Punch is right. This is like it's history. It's what
Yeah, I
happens.
don't think Tally's too nervous. I mean, this is what you do. You get really close, then you free fall all the way down to plat 5. And
I didn't even know that much. I just know this is the longest I've been without diamond, about 4 years. So
Start scratching the neck.
Oh my god.
Me?
Yeah, you got an itch.
Well,
I need my diamond.
we will be back next Wednesday to go over all these changes again. But
What?
we're going to actually
changes?
Well, we're going to talk about what we think
The
about the
lasting
actual teleport
effects, yeah, the
changes.
lasting
We're going to talk
effects.
about the Ardent Sensor. We're going to talk about the Forbidden Idol. These are the changes of what happening. These are what we think are going to happen with it. But I think a lot of these we need to really get in there and play with and get our hands dirty to understand how the changes are going to affect the game.
Yeah. I've played a couple games already on the patch. I think the teleport one was the thing that jumped out at me the fastest. But we'll have to play some more games definitely to see the rest. I agree.
Boom! That's it, guys. That's the abrupt ending to the podcast. We will wrap this all up. It's over. Thank God. Your hour and 15 minutes. Remember, no podcast on next Wednesday because of the 4th and because we're doing the one podcast a week type thing.
No, on Wednesday, not Monday.
Correct. No podcast on Wednesday. There will not be one in your inbox on Wednesday. That's when podcasts are released. Are Wednesdays and Fridays.
Okay. Whatever.
You always throw us off with that, man.
I don't listen to them. So
we
I don't
record
know.
on Mondays and
We live in two
Wednesdays, but
different
the
worlds.
podcasts go Wednesdays and Fridays. That's when people hit the inbox. So they can have something to listen to on Friday during their commute. But at least you'll get your Friday podcast to listen to your commute. So,
Egg on my
enjoy.
face.
He said.
All right, guys, that's it.
Later.
That's the podcast,
See you
guys.
guys.
We will see you all next week. Peace.
See ya.